Speaking at the women participation in Ghana's local governance system press briefing was the representative for the Ministry of Gender, Madam Faustina Champo, said there's assurance that affirmation bill will be passed inasmuch the cabinet has approved the proposal.
Very soon, and I'll say very soon, we will hear a favorable response from cabinet. All that we are waiting for as a country is that it moves from cabinet and it goes to parliament. We have, with the support from the media, ABANTU and other organizations, we have engaged parliament enough, especially the leadership of parliament. And so we know that when the bill is sent there, it's not going to take much time for them to pass into law. So this morning, I'm happy we are all here to further deliberate on how to, or the new strategy this time we can use to make sure that we get this bill passed, to ensure that gender equality, women's participation, women's empowerment are adequately addressed.
Speaking at the press briefing was the Executive Officer for ABANTU, Mrs. Grace Ampoma Afrifa, assured all Ghanaians of the passage of the Affirmative Action Law before the year 2023 district election in order to achieve the development that Ghanaians.
Before Ghana goes to the polls in 2023 to have the district assembly elections, there would be an affirmative action law in place. Otherwise, we stand the risk of having a women's representation probably less than 3%. Women's issues are national issues. Women's issues are the concern of the entire country. When women are effectively represented, development is assured. As a country, let us pass this bill into law in order to ensure that the development that we all seek is achieved with inclusion and democracy.
According to Covenant Affirmative Action Bill Coalition, Madam Sheila Menka Primo, in a presentation, said there's need to achieve gender equalities in Ghana through the passage of Affirmative Action Bill before the end of 2022.
This bill we'll be talking about. The first attempt was in 1960, when Ghana became a republican country, and then a law was passed called the Representation of the People's Act by Parliament to ensure that at that time, one woman each came from each region then to go to Parliament. So that was the first attempt. Since then, there have been other attempts to ensure some form of affirmative action, especially at the local governance level, but we still don't have the national law in place. So affirmative action is a set of measures aimed at redressing historical discrimination against a particular set of people. In the US, for instance, I'm sure you're aware there was racial discrimination for a very long time. So a lot of effort was made towards affirmative action to address racial discrimination. In our own Africa, a similar thing was also done in South Africa, where there was a lot of racial discrimination. It's also been found that when it comes to issues to do with gender, where there's also gender inequality, it's also possible to also put in steps or measures or laws to ensure that it is addressed. So affirmative action is a set of public policies and initiatives designed to help eliminate past and present discrimination based on race, color, religion, gender, or national origin. Ghana needs an affirmative action law before the end of 2022. Why we need this very important law in place before the end of 2022? That's the focus. I'm of the view that there's enough justification for the need for an affirmative action law to be enacted into law for our dear country, Ghana. And I will indicate a number of reasons why. The first one is that there's a need to address the marginalization of women in public and economic life in Ghana. Even though women in Ghana constitute more than 50%, I think we've had one female Speaker of Parliament since independence. All the rest have been male. We have never had a female president or vice president in Ghana. When it comes to ministerial positions, we've always had more men than women. So even though women play an integral part in the social, economic, and cultural fabric of Ghana, including in agriculture and many other places, women have a lower labor force participating rate as compared to men in the formal sector. So we are 64.7%. This is as at in the GSS report of 2015, we're 64.7% as compared to 71.4%. I didn't have the time to look at the statistics from the recent data, but I don't think that it's much very different. Majority of women are in the informal sector, with only a few in paid employment. Women are thus disproportionately represented at the periphery of the informal sector, where earnings are low and precarious in an unpaid household work. And a lot of women actually spend their time doing housework, most of which is unpaid, which is unaccounted for also when it comes to giving national ratings. High illiteracy levels deny many women access to decent employment, and therefore they are compelled to remain in the low income, lower economic, it accounts for the lower economic status of women, limits their participation in politics, and perpetuates intergenerational transfer of. If you want to go and stand on a platform to stand for, be a member of parliament, I mean, I hear sometimes women on platforms and they ask them, have you looked after your home well before coming to stand on the platform? We have the patriarchal and patrimonial systems, headship of men. Amongst us, depending on what our backgrounds are, the belief is that it's only men who are supposed to be in the accordance with our own constitution, Article 17.4 of the Constitution. If you have a constitution, or you can Google it and see it. Basically, Article 17 of the Constitution deals with, it prohibits discrimination on the basis of gender, on many other grounds, okay? But it makes an exception. Article 17.4 reads as follows, with the permission I'd like to read. It says, nothing in this article shall prevent Parliament from enacting laws that are reasonably necessary to provide for the implementation of policies and programs aimed at redressing social, economic, or educational imbalance in the Ghanaian society. So while 17.4 says there should be no discrimination on the basis of gender, it says that Parliament, where research shows, and remember, I've already indicated to you that GSS, GSS, that's the Ghana Statistical Service, and other researchers have shown that there is discrimination against women in social life when it comes to economic and educational imbalance. And therefore, 17.4 says that Parliament can come up with a law to address this. Research has shown that there is gender imbalance in several spheres of life, and this provision allows for affirmative action to be taken to redress the wrong of gender-based discrimination. Again, the directive principles of state policy, which is in Chapter 6 of the Constitution, also has some provisions which is also very relevant when it comes to the need for coming up with an affirmative action law. 35.5 reads as follows. It says that the state shall actively promote the integration of the peoples of Ghana and prohibit discrimination and prejudice on the grounds of place of origin, circumstances of birth, ethnic origin, gender, or religion, creed, or other beliefs. 35.6 says that towards the achievement of the objectives stated in 5, the one I just read, of this article, the state shall take appropriate measures to achieve reasonable regional and gender balance in recruitment and appointment to public office. So it is the state's responsibility to ensure that there's gender balance. Again, Article 37.6b mandates that appropriate measures should be taken to achieve reasonable regional and gender balance in recruitment and appointment, as I just read. Existing policies on affirmative action have not had the expected impact, and gender discrimination continues, particularly in public life. These policies sometimes change with changes in government, and legislation is therefore needed to ensure that there is sustained achievement of gender equality with regards to public life in the workplace. The Constitutional Review Commission and the white paper that was issued supports the need for an affirmative action bill and provided timelines for enactment after the amendments of the Constitution. We know what happened to the white paper. It hasn't really gone far, but they actually saw the need for us to have an affirmative action bill. Then the third argument that I have, pushing for or justifying the need for a law on affirmative action, is Ghana's obligations when it comes to international law, so compliance with international obligations. So the bill seeks to ensure The Ghana's obligations under international human rights instruments, to which it's a state party, are complied with. And there are a number of them. I'll mention a few. We have the Convention on the Elimination of All Forms of Discrimination Against Women, CEDAW, of 1979. It calls for equality in all aspects of life, particularly in governance. It calls on governments to remove all obstacles to women's participation in all spheres of public and private life through ensuring women a full and equal share in economic, social, cultural, and political decision making. They say that the language is even similar to what we have in our 1992 Constitution. Again, in the 2015 Sustainable Development Goals of 20, which was also passed by the UN, gender actually cuts across all the different goals, but there's a particular goal which is targeted at gender equalities. That's goal 5. And it says achieve gender equality and empower all women and girls, especially the focus on gender equality. It calls for the achievement of gender parity by the year 2030. So the year 2030 is very critical for every nation who's a member of the UN. By 2030, we should have achieved gender equality. How do we do it? We are saying that legislation is a tool which will help us to do it. And time is running out. We are in 2022. After the end of this year, we have how many more years left? Whatever. If we don't get this law passed by this year, it will almost be too late for us. We need to, when we get the law in place, then we can slowly start increasing the number. Otherwise, in 2030, when they're looking at Ghana, we'll be one of the countries that have not done well.